In this video, I'm going to tackle a touchy topic. How do you switch neurologists? If you'd like to hear my impressions on the subject, stay tuned, because I'll start explaining right now. Howdy. Thanks for learning about MS with me, Aaron Boster. I started this YouTube channel to help my own MS clinic patients learn between clinic visits, and it's my hope that through these videos, I can help you learn too. Today's touchy topic is switching your neurologist. I recently had a comment provided by Pam Watts, who asked, Dr. Boster, how do you change your neurologist? How do you go about switching? And what are some of the problems in doing so? Well, Pam, let's jump into the topic. For starters, I like to highlight the fact that you have a relationship with the neurologist. The MS neurologist and the person impacted by MS are in a relationship. It's a professional relationship, and yet it's also very, very personal. And it's a long-term relationship. So my first recommendation is to engage in a genuine conversation. Sit down with your neurologist, tell them, hey, look, I have to tell you something that's important. Get their attention, and then share with them your concerns. Express your fears, and tell them why you're not feeling like this is the best connection. Discuss your expectations, and see if they're reasonable. And see if the two of you can improve upon the communication in your relationship. I would recommend this in the same fashion that I would recommend talking to a loved one, talking to a cherished coworker, or talking to someone who you intend to have an ongoing relationship with. That's the first step, in my opinion, is to candidly discuss your concerns with your MS neurologist and see if you can improve upon the communication, improve upon the relationship, and level set the expectations both from you and from them. Secondly, I think that it is always reasonable to seek out a second opinion. If you owned a classic Corvette and took it to a mechanic, and the mechanic said,
"Oh my gosh, we have to replace your entire engine block."
Well, that's a big deal. And the very first thing you would do is take your car to a second mechanic to get another opinion. Now, your body is worth way more than a classic car. Your brain and spinal cord are literally irreplaceable. And so this is really important stuff. And if you feel like you might benefit from seeking out a second opinion, it's my impression that that should be okay. And I tell all my patients, if you tell me the city, I'll tell you the MS specialist there who I would like to send you to. And we can seek out a second opinion, and then we can discuss that second opinion. And it's my impression that neurologists should be okay with that. If the neurologist is offended or is made to feel insecure by that, that's their problem. It's your body and your brain. And so seeking out a second opinion just to have another set of eyes and another mind thinking about your case shouldn't be a big concern. I do want to point out, however, that seeking a 7th, 8th, and 9th opinion, maybe not so good. So I would have a conversation with your neurologist and say, hey, I hope you're not offended. I really like working with you, but I would love to get a second opinion just to have someone look over everything and give us feedback. Would you be open to that? And I think their answer should be yes. And that doesn't mean that they're going to lose you as a patient and you're going to lose them as a doctor. That means that you're going to get a second opinion and bring it back to your primary relationship and discuss it. At the end of the day, it's your body, it's your brain, it's your MS. And if you are unable to connect with your MS neurologist, you've attempted to have a heartfelt conversation where you express your concerns and review your expectations and they're not being met, then it is at times necessary to sever that therapeutic alliance, to separate from the neurologist and seek out someone else. And if it comes to that, I want you to be planful. For starters, I want you to be in charge of collecting all of your paper medical records, all of the clinic notes, all of the lab tests, and all of the hard copies of the MRIs. I want that to be your responsibility. I want you to collect all that information, and I want you hand deliver it to the next neurologist that you're going to see. As we wrap up, I do want to point out a couple special caveats. There are certain situations where we have to be much more thoughtful if in fact we're going to make a switch of doctors. And this has to deal with certain therapeutics. For example, a person impacted by MS who receives chemotherapy, whether that be cyclophosphamide or Limtrada, has entered into a very unique and long-term special relationship with that treatment provider. And so switching from that treatment provider who is overseeing the complexities of administering chemo isn't done lightly. And I think that there has to be very significant conversations, and there has to be what I call a warm handoff if in fact the patient's going to switch. That means that the MS neurologist quite literally has to call and talk to another MS neurologist and make sure that all the aspects of the complex situation are conveyed properly, that all of the key information is conveyed and that there isn't any misstep. Similarly, patients with MS that have severe spasticity and are being treated with an intrathecal baclofen pump can't switch doctors airy-fairy. If a baclofen pump runs dry, that can be a very serious medical emergency. And as such, we can't just cancel one neurologist without having another one present. And again, we need to have a very warm handoff when we switch providers in that situation. And Pam, there you have it. My opinions about how to consider switching MS neurologists. I hope that you found it helpful, and I would love to hear from you guys. The question of the day is, have you thought about switching your MS provider? And if so, what steps did you take? Did you engage in a conversation to discuss your concerns and expectations? And if you did in fact switch, how did it work out? Please share your experiences, your comments, and your questions down in the section below. I look forward to reading them, and I'll respond to as many as I can. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see others like it, please take a moment and subscribe to the channel. You can do that by pressing the little red button. And until my next video, thank you for learning about MS with me. Take care.